Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today we have Mike Rice.
Yes.
Mike Rice, you had a bit of a struggle getting here today.
Oh yeah, so angry. Yeah. So angry, like genuinely fucking furious. But first off, you live really far away. It's not your fault.
Thank you for coming to Betty.
Yeah, because you didn't know where I was going to be staying.
No, I didn't. I thought you were around like the center, around where you've been doing shows.
Yeah. Well, the only place I really know is the pizza shop near where I am, but I couldn't even tell you the train station is. It's where Victor lives.
Yeah.
And so then I looked up and I was going, boys, like grand, people. I don't mind transport a lot of time, like trains, shit like that. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, I can text my mother. I never text my mother. But I could. The option is there if I loved her. Yeah. But then I got, so anyway, long story short, I went way too far, missed my connecting train, and I'm talking like 6 stops too far.
So you were really busy texting your mum?
Yeah. But I was just like, you fucking bitch. No, I didn't say that. I was like, you ne'er-do-well. I'm polite when I've talked to her. But then I went, yeah, and then, so anyway, finally, it's taken me about an hour and 20 minutes to get over here, and then I get to your door, and then there's no internet service to text you.
Oh, you know what, actually?
What?
That is actually just the front of my house, of the building. There is no internet service, so whenever I come home and I'm on the phone to someone...
Yeah.
It always cuts out. It cuts out immediately. It's the most infuriating thing to be like on your way home and then you just lose the conversation right out the front of your house. And there's no connection until I get home.
Right.
Like in the door, into my room. Yeah. So actually that's not your fault. That's my house's fault as well.
I wasn't blaming myself, Anna. I don't know if you've been picking up on my tone, but there has been no point of this where I have been putting the blame at my own feet. I have been kind of thinly veiled passive aggression towards you, which are clearly not.
I'm not getting it at all. I'm like, this is your choice. These are your choices. You came here. You could have said no multiple points. No, but no, there is like something shitty about where I live at the moment, like at vetting. There's something just a little bit more annoying than it should be about, the service in front of my house, the train connections. And if you're not from here, you've like really traveled today. So well done. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Glad to have you here.
Yes. No, I am very happy to be here. I sound like a jumped up prick here now, but
no, you don't.
Do I not? Do I sound lovely?
Because I know you a bit. I don't feel that at all, and at no point did I ever feel any.
Right.
Maybe you're just really good at veiling it, but I didn't feel any. Like I don't feel guilty at all. So no.
Right. Yeah. I think there may be, this will cause you problems down the line. A lack of feeling of guilt. Do you know what's actually?
Why?
Do you know what's funny about guilt?
Yes,
that I think,
because you're Irish, so you know lots about guilt.
So I'm swimming in it. I could give you some before I leave, just to know what it feels like. But
I do feel like I also come from a long line of guilt.
Really?
Yeah. And I've been doing a lot of work in this life to not. Like you came in, you sat down, there was a book on Buddhism right on the table. Oh. I think the biggest, it's now gone, now there's the Minority Report. But one of my biggest struggles is, firstly trust, of course, but right after that is feeling guilt for everything all the time.
Right.
So anyway, your experience and your...
No, but I think that's interesting. Where does that come from with you now?
I think my mother.
Yeah?
100% my mother. Yeah.
Did she raise you through guilt? Guilting?
I feel like there's been a lot of guilt. Yeah. Whenever I am like strong or independent, like she implies that there's a lack of empathy or softness or femininity. Not always. Like I have a very good relationship with my mum, but there is this thing. And I think my biggest struggle being in Berlin, for example, for many years was that I felt guilty for being away from my family. Like really a lot of guilt.
Right. And does she, because like my mother does a thing. Do you know what? Well, my mother, actually, now that I think of it, my mother doesn't even like, that people say to me, oh, my mother's like trying to ring me all the time and they're annoyed about them. I was like, my mother's not trying to ring me all the time. That's what's annoying me. Why aren't you trying to ring me, Betsy?
But Betsy.
You know what I mean?
Is it really Betsy?
It's Betsy.
Because you're joking.
I know in the joke. I know what I said, and it's the truth.
It's the truth.
Yes, I shall not lie up there.
I think, okay, so my mother, she used to be ringing me all the time. This was like maybe 10 years ago. She used to be ringing me all the time. I'm 34, right? So like early 20s when I was still sort of living in the same town as her. She would try to contact me a lot, and I was a 20-year-old, and so I was a total bitch and ignored a lot of it. I would eventually get back to her, but then she moved overseas, and then I moved, and she has now come to the point, I think, in our relationship where she needs to manage it so it doesn't feel toxic, so she waits for me to call her.
Right, yeah. I don't think my mother's even thinking on that level. You know what I mean? I think she just, in my head...
She's given up?
Yeah, she's given up, or she forgets, or she's a little bit like, she does like just genuinely, objectively love me less since I've been doing stand-up comedy. Like, there's just no doubt.
What do you mean? But you've been doing stand-up for a long time, no?
That's what I mean, yes. And the love has been just over years, like a slope. Just it's been just seeping out. It just till there's almost, she's just a hollow husk of a woman that cannot contain any love for me. I'm sorry for calling her a husk. What even is a husk? I don't know.
I felt more problematic with the love is seeping out, like some cum that was just going down her thighs.
Jesus! Like a love cream pie, just seeping. This luscious,
bitter love,
bitter,
seeping.
salty love, just
Ankles, feet.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah.
You really brought it there. But but on a serious level, she does, like, because of what I like do. My mother is very like proper person. She's a lovely, she's a great, I love my mother so much, and even in the face of her lack, I only love her all the more. She's playing hard to get, like. You know what I mean?
No.
But like,
yes, but
yes.
decided with your jokes too much.
Right.
You're wanting the incest, you know?
Right.
Like you're wanting to be the victim of.
Yeah, I do think, like, I will say that, you know, people say to you, like, and sometimes I've been in relationships and they're like, oh, you want me to be like your mother, and I'm like, no, I want you to be my mother. You know what I mean? Like, I want you. I don't even met her, but she's amazing. She's like so perfect. Anyway, look, we're not going to go too.
But at the same time, she doesn't appreciate your stand-up career. So how can you want someone to be that person for you again who doesn't love what you're doing and what you're putting out there and supporting you?
I don't know. I guess, like, on some level, and maybe these are my own issues, I get it. I get why she doesn't, because, like, we grew up with the most important thing was just like manners and etiquette, and you have your knife and fork and your side plate and your spoon. Like, cutlery was of the utmost importance.
It is very important. The number of people who don't understand where each piece of cutlery should go blows my mind.
Yeah, and has continued to blow my mother's mind.
And it hurts, actually.
I think this is why I've never met someone actually that feels that, but my mother, it hurts her.
Yeah.
Like, her soul. Like, bad table manners. Like, it's just like she has the same, like, level of serious grief if, like, you know, her mother died, or if there's no pepper on the table. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be the exact same level. Oh, my mother died. There's no pepper on the table. Just no difference in tone. It hurts her the same amount. But she loves opera music. She's very religious, very classical. Like, so, like, she would think, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Irish sitcom Father Ted.
Yeah.
But very famous, harmless humor. Now looking back,
really sweet.
Sweet. So funny. She thought that was lewd. And she thought that was mocking the clergy, like the church.
Oh, wow. So she's she's legit, super.
Yes, and just...
Catholic?
Catholic, yes, super Catholic. But then a different even type of just, like, kind of like the family she comes from. It's just... they just have ideas. We call them notions in Ireland. Notions, kind of having ideas about... Like, she has 11 siblings.
Fuck.
Yeah, we used to call them...
That's really Catholic.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, wow.
Notions 11, we used to call them. Because they're just all these, like, ideas about... We are very proper and we are very good members of the community. And
about not pulling out. That's what it is.
That's the other thing.
Oh my God.
They're acting like these prudes. It's like, you guys are like just like the product of just like rabbitous fucking.
Cream pie cosmopolitan. Just wow.
Right.
That's
yeah.
so much semen.
But my point being, so if you've seen my comedy, then you'll know that it's quite, like whatever, like not all of it, but like, there's some of it you could categorize as crass or lewd or dark humor. I talk about eating period blood, and I've uttered even more spits than that.
Yeah,
that I've just,
but that it makes sense that that's what you're doing because you're breaking free from that level of repression.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think so.
Absolutely. Like it's completely natural that that's where you would push your comedy, and I think it's like anyone that comes from a minority that's been discriminated in a certain way, most of their comedy is going to be fighting against that or turning that pain into joy, and so your religious repression is definitely going to mean that you're going to be more inclined towards lewd.
Just absolute, unadulterated filth, devilish, circling the seventh circle of hell. No, but I think you're right, and there is a part of it that is rebellious. But she would just see it as very she couldn't watch. She cried one time when my father tried to bring her to a gig. He was like, "Oh, we'll go in to see a gig."
So that's hilarious.
It's hilarious.
It's so funny.
I know, yeah.
Hold on, did she actually see some of your stand-up, or?
She had seen a clip online. This is absolutely true. She said to me once, she said, Mike, she said, I've seen a clip of your comedy online and I didn't find it funny. She said, I found it more sad than anything.
Oh my God, that's so great.
Yeah. And I said, well, we're being honest, ma'am, you make a shit apple tart. And she doesn't, but I just had to hear her where it hurts.
Of course you had to.
Yeah.
But just like what she's saying, she could probably see objectively there were laughs in the crowd, but she's saying it's sad. It's like, obviously it's not sad.
Yeah.
Just like her apple tart doesn't.
Right. And it's hard to reconcile, actually, with my mother, because I do love her so much, and I always speak very highly of her, but there are some aspects now where she's hurt my feelings, I would say. But I've had her family, I haven't been invited to a wedding, that of a cousin that's my age.
Yeah. Because
they see me as a black sheep, or what I'm doing is really disrespectful. I got called out at a family event. With this, my mother's family, where one of her sisters came up to me in front of everyone and was like, I saw a clip of your comedy. I just want to say I think it's awful. and I may not be hip or I may not be cool, she said, but I just think I just thought it was awful. And she just walked off, and I was just standing there, and I was just I was because I'm a comedian, I'd be very quick. So yes. I started tearing up and refused to eat my custard.
Oh, dude, that stuff hurt.
No, man, it hurt. It did hurt me.
Really hurts.
Yeah.
I like the whole, I might not be hip, I might not be cool. I feel like there's a lyric, if you had recorded her, you could have auto-tuned that into a song about how shitty your comedy is for religious Irish people.
But they're particularly these are particularly puritanical, I would say, people now. And growing up, they're my family. I really like them, and I'm not one of those people who's I don't care. Mm-hmm. I think I do care.
Of course you care. Yeah. Of course, there's. That you can't win everybody, right? That not everyone is going to be a fan of yours. It's just it can't happen. It's a personality thing, number one, but then there's also content, and there's people who have their notions, and that your things go against their notions. But despite knowing that intellectually, it still hurts like hell when someone really communicates to you why they dislike what you do.
Yeah.
It fucking kills, man.
Right.
It hurt. It's heartbreaking, even though you can be well, they're not hip and they're not cool.
Right.
So they're clearly not my crowd.
But everyone who says, I may not be hip, I may not be cool, in their head they think, I am both hip and cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, the word's hip and cool, already.
You're already placing yourself outside the circle with that.
Yeah. No one who's cool calls themselves cool anyway. And hip, I love it so much, but that's great.
Right.
What is she in the urban culture?
Yeah. I've been telling a lot of people I'm hip recently, and now I'm starting to think that that's probably not been perceived how I'd like.
I think you should keep doing it. I think.
No, I am going to keep doing it. Yeah, I will never
please.
stop, because certain things are culture is cyclical. It will come back around, that saying hip
Yeah.
is hip.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what
Keep the faith. Keep the faith. Oh my God, the whole religious thing, and yeah, it's just like, okay, so it's funny because from my side of things, I tell some extremely filthy stuff on stage, but my parents are very strong supporters of what I'm doing, and my parents are both pretty, like, my mum is the filthy one in the family. Like, she is like top class. Like, the jokes that she comes out, the constant innuendo, like,
Right.
like we had a, so I have a stepfather. My mum's husband is super cool. He's got 3 kids, and so it was like my step brothers and sister, and my brother and I, and like we even had a joke, like we all loved Family Guy. There was a running joke in our mixed family of the little part from Family Guy which goes incest in the morning, repressed memories. Like, we used to sing that around the house, you know, like it's a very, very filthy household, and my dad is more like a dad joke funny, but like very, very, like less dirty, but just very dry Aussie Kiwi funny. But yeah, they like, I don't know. I think the reason why I'm so disgusting on stage is that I have the female outlook of like, we need to, you know, sex is funny, and the more honestly women talk about their sexual experiences, the more open we are, and the less like, you know, breaking down the slut shaming, and that there doesn't need to be that. And so when you own it, then you remove the shame and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I think that part of my thing, I think, was similar to that, or just the fact, like, I mean, there was part of me growing up that's a bit like perplexed by the prudishness around sex, because it's just like, we're adults. Why are we pretending? Like, it just seems so silly and dishonest, and like just like, you're full of shit. Like, you know what I mean? You probably got pounded last night, and you're acting like you fucking, like, you've got kids, we know you fuck.
Yeah.
Like, stop acting like this is a part of life that doesn't exist, and it's such a you know, important part of life, and it can be fun. It's like, this whole, the way you're acting is what makes it funner as well. You don't know that.
Totally. The more
the wronger. It's like the joke I have. It's like, if you make it feel wrong, like, that's like,
yeah,
but that may not be the healthiest way.
But yeah, the more taboo something is, the more enjoyable it is to talk about it. Right. Absolutely. That's why rape.
Oh God!
That's why rape. You know, like.
Right.
I made a joke with you the other day.
Turn off my mic, because I don't. I feel my career slipping through my fingers.
But for women, for example, talking about rapists and stuff, like I made a joke. I hooked up with a guy the other night, and I said, like, oh yeah, I don't think we didn't have sex, like we just kissed and then fell asleep cuddling, and then I was like, well, maybe he fucked me, like, I don't know, and it's
big laughs it got big laughs from the men she was with.
No, but it shocked me how funny that was for me. Is like me saying that, it killed me as well, because it was just like, it's so funny to talk about those things that are so not okay to talk about. And me being raped is like, it's such a serious danger that, you know, I have to consider every day in some ways.
Yeah.
And so it makes it so much more enjoyable to make those jokes. So, you know, rape or, and in your jokes, you know, you talk, like, if your mum did see your set, like, you talk so explicitly about masturbating to your mother or to the thought of your mother. It's just like, that's so, like, it's clearly so enjoyable for you because of the level of what's the word, criticism and disapproval that you receive.
Right. Like, I see now, it is kind of, I think this is what it is, because I don't know if, like, I would love if my mother loved what I did. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Like, I would. But, I mean, I just made a decision when to start doing comedy at all, because, you know, to even start doing comedy, you have to, in some way, relinquish caring about what other people think of you.
Yeah. Or
not even relinquish caring, but relinquish letting that dictate your actions.
Yes.
Right? So I actually do really care if what people think of me. I've always been a person who really wants to be liked.
Of course.
Always, like, I'm like, oh, please like me. Look, I was so nice. I'll be, you know what I mean? But that was crippling in my early years, because I just would never do things I wanted to do. I always wanted to act when I was younger.
Yeah.
I always wanted to act, but I was like, no, I can't. The lads are going to say I'm gay if I go like act in theatre, you know, or something like that. You know, and I always loved comedy, wanted to do something with it. But I was like, there's a great quote from he's a film critic called Roger Ebert. I used to love reading film reviews when I was younger. I was obsessed, and I wouldn't tell my friends about that either. I'd be like watching like French New Wave movies, but I couldn't tell the lads because I was good at sport. Like, so my friends were sports guys. That's who I hung out with, and they were great, like funny guys, blah blah blah. But anyway, the quote from the movie reviewer is Roger Ebert, who I love.
Robert Reed?
Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert.
Yeah, he's like the most famous like American probably movie critic ever. But he said that if you were popular in high school, a lot of people are popular in high school, never find out who they really are because they get used to that feeling of being popular and being liked. Oh, that's a nice little cozy feeling. And then they don't ever want to do anything to jeopardize that, to lose that. So they just stay acting in ways that please people around them. Yeah. And I was very much entrenched in that. And then luckily, do you know what? And just through sheer pain and suffering, I got out of it. But if I didn't have a bad enough time in my early 20s, I probably wouldn't have got out of it. And I probably would have just stayed doing the things that made everyone happy and just been kind of had a lukewarm life of kind of fairly kind of, you know, unfulfilled and empty but comfortable and different things like that. But I luckily reached such a level of depression. Yeah. Deep. Oh, I want to be hit by a bus. Depression that I was able to, that led to the greatest freedom then. Yeah. Because then I got so low that I was like, well, do you know what? If I don't want to be here anyway, I might as well do whatever the fuck I want to do. Yeah. And
totally.
And that was around that time I started meditating and different things and started stand up, and that was it.
Fuck yeah.
Once I started,
Fuck yeah. It's definitely how you start stand up. It's like you got to get to the point where you've got nothing left to lose.
Right.
But there was also something else in what you're saying. This whole wanting people to like you. There's also a thing with stand up, and I think it's a pretty, all comedians would agree with it to a point. But like if you're in the life of someone who does stand up comedy, you're probably going to get spoken about on stage. What like. I feel like that's something that people need to, like, I think that's a part of it. Like, because this joke that I told last night that I think you also heard in Barcelona in development stage is like me living with these housemates and and like I talk about how one got pregnant and one started going through menopause. Yeah. And in the process of me developing this joke, I mentioned to the housemate who was going through menopause, I was like, by the way, like you're in one of my jokes at the moment. I'm working it out. It's about how you've started menopause. And then she took 6 months to come to me and say, or she took like 6 months for another friend, the pregnant one actually, to ask for a clip of the joke. And I just happened to have one, but like I got one before the lockdown, sent it to them, and then there was just this radio silence. And I was like, so what did you think of the joke? It's jokes. Like, no offense, like, of course, I'm not happy that you moved out or because you got pregnant or, And the thing is, like, anyway, I wasn't concerned about the menopause bit because it's like, I explain what menopause is. And I think the crazy thing is when I first started telling that joke, men in the audience didn't know what menopause was. And that was another thing of like, holy shit, like, I felt compelled to educate, yeah. And so I think this bit's quite a feminist bit, actually. Anyway, the one that was going through menopause sat down with me and was just like, it's too private. You shouldn't, you're talking about your housemate. People will know it's me. And I'm like, I could be talking about any housemates from any time in my life. Like, I've lived with lesbians before. I don't say your name. No one knows who you are. Yeah. No one cares. But like, she was like, well, it's too private and I would like you to let me know a bit earlier so I'm more psychologically prepared. I'm like, I told you 6 months ago, but okay. Cool. I will let you know when I'm starting to think of it. She's like, yeah, I don't want to censor you. And then her next feedback was, and I think you don't use inclusive language and that's why the second part of the joke is about me using inclusive language.
Suck my dick.
Because I use the word woman for someone with a vagina and man for someone with a penis. And she was just like, well, what about all the trans people? You know what? And I was just like, this is
Just get like, yeah, like get lost. This is my. Do you know what I mean? You don't write my comedy set.
Yeah. And it's also like if I were to every time say people with vaginas when I wanted to refer to people who identify as women or people who have like, I get the feedback, but I'm not writing a political manifesto. I'm saying a joke on stage, and there's efficiency required there.
Yeah, it's word economy.
Exactly.
Like this is what it's about. It's about rhythm and getting to something. Like if you have to, like trot out these correct, convoluted terms in a joke, it's just gonna fucking butcher the joke. Like in, normal life, if like whatever you want me to say, you know what? No, I still won't say it. But
exactly. But at the same time, if you call me on it, I'll be like, yes. I mean, all people who want to be identified as women or people who have uteruses or whatever. Like, fuck, there are women who aren't able to get pregnant anyway, and like just be like, it's just like you can't always be inclusive, but
Where's it? That's something I heard recently that I thought was very interesting. On that of just where's the line on things, because there's like this lesbians group in Texas. And they were going out for a treat. They do it every year, like some desert thing where they all go out and they like, fuck each other. And it's like a little mixer to flirt and blah, blah, blah. And
was this in a Tim Dillon?
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
But it's like the transgender person, but who hadn't had the operation, who just has a penis, like, yeah, I want to come. And they were like, no. Because it's like, we don't want, like, it's for, like...
It's for scissoring.
Vaginas to come in. We want to scissor and lick each other. We don't want a hard cock around. And is that not fair enough?
I think it's fair enough.
I think that's fair enough.
I think it's fair enough. However, it's like, and like, why would you want to be there if the idea, like, it should just be called like a vagina retreat then.
That's it then.
You know?
Yeah,
not a women's retreat. It should be a vagina
retreat.
Vagina to vagina.
I would actually want to come. I'd also start getting offended, to be honest.
I would be disappointed if the penis wasn't there. Like, I would have been the one being like, well, but there are different types of vagina owners that only want vaginas, and then there are vagina owners that are open to all the things.
Right.
But
are you open to all the things?
Yeah, I'm open to all the things. I'm not that hungry for vagina. Like, I don't. I don't really
not like that ravenous for
the
female organ, reproductive organ.
Jus de vag. I'm not like, it's not, I don't get excited by like an like engorged clitoris and like a hole to stick my finger. Like, I'm not. Right. No, like, I've got that. I want to be playing with something else. Right. And that's just, but I will do it. And I will, like, enjoy.
Just from what? Like, just civic duty? Like, what? Why?
Because it's...
Why if it does nothing for you?
It's polite. It's like... it's like... Usually in the settings where, like, I would end up eating vagina or fingering, it's like there's also penises around, and it's just like it's in the right spirit of things that you
like
do
a group sex.
Group sex.
Oh yeah. How is that fun?
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I enjoy. I've had quite a bit of group sex in my time.
Oh wow, I would die.
And like actually, just
I
like...
would kill myself. I would end my own life. Why? I would blow my head off.
Why?
I just wouldn't have. I would be too. I'd be too nervous. I wouldn't be able for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most of the group sex settings, like I had a few where there was alcohol and drugs because they were like impromptu orgies at home.
An impromptu all this. I'm like a little child. What? I thought that was only in the movies, Anna. Really? All right. But so how do you navigate that now? So let's say, what are we looking at here? How many men, how many women are we all, how do we get everyone on board? How does it happen? I'm so
So with the impromptu orgies, it's usually you've just been out partying, you end up at someone's house, and there's good vibes between everyone. There's usually it's usually late, it wasn't even that late, like a couple of them. But yeah.
It's just like 2 p.m. It's just in the afternoon.
Well, okay, some of them were just like one other couple, you know. So I was married, and my marriage was open in that we would have sex with other people together.
Right.
And so we would be open to that and kind of looking for that. And so it would come out that we're in an open marriage. And so then people who are interested would...
How would it come out?
Express interest.
Would you just be like... we want to fuck the two of you.
It would be a little bit more.
Right.
Well, it would usually be my ex-husband being like, want to fuck them? And I'd be like, look, give me like 3 more drinks and I'll see how I feel.
I love this. As if they don't have any choice in it. Don't want to fuck them. Like they're just unsuspecting over here.
He was a very charming man, and not that much to look at, but he had a lot of charisma.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was like a very persuasive. Yep, that's why I ended up getting married, I guess. Persuasive, intelligent, like wily. Like he wasn't like
Yes, he had guile.
You know
He was manipulative, I think,
Yes.
is what you want to say.
That's what I want to say. That's what I will say. He was absolutely manipulative.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it would be like, and like, I was in my finest form back then. So like, it wasn't hard getting the sex that we wanted, I guess.
Right.
But then we sort of kind of ended up going through lots of our friends to the point where I was like,
fucking lots of your friends.
yeah. And I
Right.
had more friends because I like was from that city and he'd only lived there for a few years. And
So he was fucking a lot of your friends.
we were fucking a lot
We
of my
were,
friends.
well,
Yeah. I was
yeah.
fucking his friends too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, this all sounds like hellish.
It was not
A hellscape to me.
what I wanted. Exactly. It's not. I was like, I don't want to fuck our friends. And he was like, he had alopecia, right? He still has alopecia. You know what alopecia is?
All his hair's falling out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like weird places too. Like he had no eyelashes, no eyebrows. We had to like buy human hair eyebrows, cut them to fit and glue them on his face every day.
Right.
Sexy.
Yeah.
No.
So
but
because he had this ailment, he's like, please, can I fuck your friends? I've got no hair.
He was like,
Please.
I'm self-conscious of.
Right.
He couldn't really deal with he had one hole with absolutely no hair on his head, and so the eyebrows. He was self-conscious about the eyelashes and the hole in his head, and so he was like, I feel less comfortable fucking strangers because then I have to deal with this. Whereas if we fuck friends, then I'm comfortable. And I was like, well, I prefer to fuck strangers because if we fuck my friends, then I won't have any more friends.
100%. I wouldn't to preface it, I am wired in a deep Catholic monogamy nonsense, which I understand is my own mental entanglements that are not necessarily good. But now the ideas of my a girlfriend fucking one of my friends, and I'm there now. I'd have to kill him, then myself, then her. Everyone must die now. Everyone must die.
So Tarantino.
Her family. Yeah, it'd be the absolute fucking Kill Bill when it goes into that fucking Lucy Lou's fucking building, cutting off the arms with blood spraying everywhere. Samurai sword. Actually, I might do it now. It sounds fun.
Yeah, it does sound great.
Just to justify a killing spree.
Yeah, I love it. It's funny, since then I have I get like I don't know, monogamy, I'm not close to monogamy. Like I think monogamy happens when when you're with someone who wants that, and then non-monogamy, I'm flexible. Like I am very I'm quite happy to just have that one person, but there needs to be I understand monogamy sympathizers or like people who need that. I get that.
You say it like it's like Nazism or something. Monogamy sympathizers. Yeah. As in people who have a leaning towards this evil. I understand.
It's not. I don't see it as evil at all.
Right.
But I think it requires a lot. Like I think non-monogamy requires a lot of communication, a lot of work. I think monogamy also requires a lot of that. Like just because you're like, okay, we're the only ones for each other, that means you need to really make that work. So that because the amount of insecurities that pop up when you have this like commitment that you don't fuck other people, it's like you need to.
Fuck each other is my suggestion.
You need to fuck each other
like
a lot.
Big time.
Big
style.
Big
and
style.
do stuff with their ass and all
You
sorts.
need to do all the things.
Yep.
You need to really make them feel like they are all you need.
The bee's knees, the cat's pajamas, the cock of the walk.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I agree.
Whereas, and there's lots of problems with non-monogamy, but The thing is with the spontaneous or impromptu orgies, it would usually be after lots of alcohol. There's an awareness that everyone is open to it, and then it happens. Whereas then we ended up also going to, when I was like, I want strangers. We actually found like an
hitchhikers. Would you pick up?
We did end up at some very strange people's houses,
right?
Through the dating apps that existed back then, which were not apps; they were websites,
right?
And like redhotpie.com.
Oh, wow.
Adult matchmaker.
Ever any like celebrities like Crocodile Dundee or anything?
I wish.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. I wish we'd had...
Is he still alive?
I doubt it.
I hope so.
I don't know.
I bet
He'd
if
be
he
crusty as fuck. Though.
He would,
He'd
but
be
he's
like a crocodile.
He'd be still fucking. I know that.
Yeah, that blonde hair and those abs, those breasts.
Oh,
you know? He had,
Paul Hogan, that was his name.
Yeah.
Oh, he was gorgeous.
That's it.
Yeah.
But also, like, I wouldn't have had sex with Steve Irwin. You know Steve Irwin.
I know Steve Irwin. Yeah. He got what was coming to him.
Yeah, although it still kind of makes me sad. Like, I don't know. I've been getting a bit sentimental about Australian things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
racism. It was actually fun. It was actually fun what we did to the Aborigines. Yeah, at the time.
No, I actually have been getting by sentimental. I actually almost cried the other week at a show talking about the Australian treatment of Indigenous people and why I identify more strongly as a Kiwi, because of the amount of shame that I have for what Australia represents and what it's done. Do
you want to hear the most racist thing?
Yes.
I've heard an Australian say.
Yes.
I was walking down with an Australian in Perth. I did the Perth Fringe Festival twice.
Did you now?
Yes, I did.
Would you recommend it?
Yeah. It's
Like
great. It's lovely. Like the place, like the city itself, Perth, is an unfathomable shithole. But the like there's beautiful like beaches.
Yes.
And it's like lovely, and the people that come to the shows are cool. But like in general, it's a very fucking blokey place, mate.
Yeah, right.
And it's like but they're so outward with it. Like it's amazing.
It's crazy how
just how flagrant.
Yeah.
They are about like this. Like we were walking past, I was with this like older Australian man, and we were walking down, and there was a guy cleaning the street, and there was like an Aborigine guy, like a homeless guy, in the door, and he fucking missed a bit.
Oh my god!
And that might be the most racist thing I have ever heard.
Oh my god! But it doesn't surprise me. Like, it's disgusting.
Yep.
100%. But for Australians, the total lack of respect, awareness, and what's the word I want to say? Like when you repent, like, or when you remorse. The lack of remorse that white Australians have for the Indigenous people, and the just total disrespect. It's insane how much they don't understand how much the colonization of Australia created all of this crazy level of disadvantage and like cultural
substance abuse. Like these little kids huffing petrol and paint down at the bus stops. They're absolutely fucked. And I was in and it's so prevalent. Like, even I used to do tours of Dublin, and you'd have some Australian guys on the tour, and it's hard. Like, and admit I've been a coward in situations. Like, even when that guy said that, like, in my heart, I was like, Jesus Christ, but I didn't say anything at the time, because I'm like, just no excuse other than just weakness at times in the moment, and I'll admit there's been times I have not been strong enough in the face of all sorts of shit like that, and it is something that I think if everyone got a bit stronger on those points, it would be great. But I was staying with this Indian lady, Piasi was her name, and she fucking catfished me in Australia. I was so mad.
How did she catfish you?
Because
catfishing, that's an interesting topic.
So I went on Airbnb, and it said, it was like this young Indian lady named Prati who was living there, and it was all about Prati, like, gives you like on the reviews, she gives you all this lovely tea and you hang out and all this stuff. And I used to go out with a Punjabi girl, like an Indian girl, like, so like I'm just like, I like sexually into that. My
brother was too, actually.
So, and it's just like, it's one of those things, like, it's like, like ginger girls, like I have no interest in, and a lot of them in Irish, just not whatever that is.
Yeah.
My granny was like very dark feature. Oh no, this is more incest stuff again. But my granny had like really like brown eyes and like black hair and all like that, and I always just thought that way. I just always loved that black and red. Anyway, this Prati, I was like, oh, she seems lovely. She's tea, maybe there'll be, you know. We could have a bit of fun or whatever, or she could abuse me as her tenant or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like really, I'll let myself be harassed. And anyway, so I arrive anyway, and this like 70-year-old, really overweight, Indy like comes to the door, and she just goes, she's just like, Michael. I was like, yeah, and she goes, take your shoes off, and I was like, oh, all right. Where's Prati? And she's like, I'm Prati's mother, and Prati doesn't live here anymore. And I was like, oh, come on. And she was like, yeah, she's like, I'm Piacia. And anyway, she turns out to be just this like just authoritarian lunatic. Like she used to do this like thing where I would like, and it was tiny little flat, right? This tiny little flat. And
this was in Perth?
This was in Perth, yeah. Now, it was me. I was being a real cheapskate. It was very cheap. But I thought it was going to be me. And
you were being cheap, and you thought you'd get some sex on the side.
I thought I was getting a cheap apartment where I was going to fuck someone regularly.
Oh my God.
That's what I thought I was getting. And I think that was fair for me to think that. And I thought all my dreams had come true. Mm-hmm. And anyway, she was always just a tiny apartment. She'd just be lying on the couch watching Dawson's Creek. She loved Dawson's Creek.
Good
she was
taste.
but like she'd get up at like 7:30 in the morning and be blaring it, just I don't want to wait for our lives. And she'd just be like, I love it. There's so much drama going on. You know what I mean? Like going on. And then also she's just farting all the time, like loudly, like. And then she goes, my doctor said it's okay for me to fart. She was like, it's good for me to get out. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still Piaci. I don't listen. I just you're making this a hostile environment. You know what I mean? And then she would go in, right? She would go in. If I used the bathroom, she would come in. She'd come into the bathroom after I was in there. And like I would be fairly clean or whatever, but she'd find like a little speck of like dirt on like maybe on the toilet bowl. Like just it could be a little hair or anything, any little thing. And she would knock on my door, and she'd like, come in here. What is this? And she'd just be like, you're disgusting. You're disgusting. And I was like, yeah, don't be calling me disgusting. That's not a nice thing to say to a man. I was trying to be nice to her. And then she was always like, you rabbiting on about how great her tea was, but she wouldn't offer me any tea. But she would, and then on top of this, she wouldn't give me no tea. On top of this, she had her little neighbour, Margaret, little white lady, come over, and Margaret would come over like every day, and they would play Connect 4 and just be racist. That's what they would do. I swear to God, they would just come over. Margaret would come over, and they would just talk about the fucking abos are on the grog.
No.
Yes, and they're just there. Then it's just you're moving. It's like yes, they're discussing like, and Piaci's hating on the abos as well. She's after coming for. It's like. You know where Margaret goes after this, Piaci? Down the road to talk shit about you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like 100%.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like they're both like, just shitting on the Aborigines there.
Jesus.
And yeah, I thought it was going to be Prati and we were going to be in love.
It's horrible you saying all like. I want to say, like, the first thing I want to say was it's great to hear you talking about this level of racism against Indigenous people.
Yeah.
It's horrible that it exists, but I've been talking about this recently to a lot of people that live in Berlin that just don't understand anything about Australia except what they see from, like, the tourists that come over. Like, they have no idea how messed up. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the image they have, even though they have no idea what that show is. Exactly. No clue. And so I've been talking about this insane level of racism and discrimination against the Indigenous people and the whole history of it. So it's good to hear, it's fucked up as it is, it's good to hear, exactly, this is what it is. Like, it's so messed up that, you know, they have this level of resentment towards these people, like they're a problem. And it's like, Jesus Christ, are you serious?
But there seems to be like it does seem to be some like form of like deep nationwide brainwashing of some sort, whereby people genuinely feel within the realms of decency and of like they feel like they are good people, like 100%.
Yes, I agree with
like
you.
they believe like I'm a good person, I'm a kind person, I'm this, and these guys are bad. We give them such like this is their belief. So it's like it's not even like these are like the nasty elements of society. It's like people who are like, you know, really like kind in other ways and different things feel vindicated.
Yeah.
And that's the real
I agree with you.
It's you.
Like I had a housemate, white Australian dude, like, you know, multiple generations Australian dude, and I had this Italian boyfriend back then who was like not even like veiled racist, sexist. Like he referred to African this African family as monkeys once.
Your Italian boyfriend.
The Italian boyfriend.
He
was like super sexist.
Was that what won you over?
Yeah, that's what won me over. I didn't realize how sexist and racist he was until like a few months in, and then I was like, maybe you don't have to have the same values to fall in love. Like it was crazy.
Did
like
you
that
love
was.
him?
I did fall in. I was in love with him,
Yes.
and this was the love that made me realize you absolutely need to be on the same value level as whoever you're with.
Yeah.
And I thought I was being progressive, you know what I mean? Like maybe we could. So, but he was hanging out at home with my white Australian housemate, and the topic of Indigenous Australians came up, and my white Australian housemate shocked me so much with the views that you just said.
Yeah.
Basically, that these people are like that these people in Perth had, and good guy, you know, good dude, you know, but as much as you're saying that these are good people, the thing is, Australia is a rich country with like education, and in both elementary and high school you are taught what happened in the history of Australia. So to then allow yourself to not, you know, to forget the history and to lose all sympathy, and that's the issue with Australians in general for me, is that there's this chosen ignorance around, like that's kind of motivated.
It's convenient, isn't it?
It's convenient, and it's motivated by maintaining their wealth and comfort. So it's the same thing with their anti-immigration sentiments. It's like, oh, there's too many Asians. It's like, shut the fuck up. You're like geographically very much located in very close vicinity to everything that's Asian, and they're bringing, you know, Asian like migrants or immigrants are bringing a lot of money, and it's, you know, they're investing, and there's like, why you anti my immigration? Like, you're all migrants. You all like stole this land from the indigenous.
There's too many white people.
There's too many white people.
There is. In like in this part of the world, there is like noticeably none of you should be here.
Yeah.
Climate wise, it doesn't suit you.
Make sense.
And I think there's something about the heat that makes these like Anglo, like Irish as well, like the people from where I'm from, that just kind of melts their brains into just, you see these leathery old kind of sun-baiting, like kind of like English descendants and Irish descendants, and they're always really racist. Always. There's never someone with that sunburnt face that's like, I think the Jews should have more. You know what I mean? Never. Like, they're always just the most warped things. But like, I don't know. It is so flagrant there.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, what the answer. Where are you from in Australia?
Melbourne.
Right, so you're from would it be kind of like the blue dot, the liberal?
Yeah.
It's the most liberal place. I've been.
The most green, as in green by like, you know, green politics. Like,
right.
You know, they had the Green Party, the Greens in there. Like, I'm so disconnected from Australian politics now, but it's the most progressive part of the country, for sure.
But, so in your education, maybe like there was more of like an actual like leaning towards, hey, what we did was fucked up, or what it was wrong.
Yes.
And we were told that, because I don't believe the people in Perth are told it's wrong. I really don't believe there is any leaning towards that. But it's similar, like the English education system, right?
Yeah.
They just get taught like, we beat the Nazis. Like,
Nothing about India, nothing about
fuck all about
Australia.
India, fuck all about Ireland. Like, nothing
Ireland,
about the famine. People come over and they're like, you be talking to them about the famine, because that's just what we do when an English person comes. Did you hear about just the first? It's like, oh, how you doing? So, did you hear about the famine? Had you heard about that? The half the population was either killed or left. But they actually don't know. Like, because I used to give these tours around Dublin, and I mean, I would fucking pull on the heartstrings of like just the English fucking let Irish people die. The Irish people were going around with like grass stains on their mouth from trying to eat the fucking grass, while the English continue to export crops out of the country because they owned the land, and just let like 1.5 million people die out of a population of like 7. So it's like bananas. And I would like, I would just and you see the English people, they're like, oh, we didn't even know about that, you know. We didn't even know, did we, Jim? Did we? They always ask each other everything. They like
they
that.
They do seem so dumb sometimes.
Right, they fucking do. They're an absolute living nightmare. Like when people say to me, oh, do you hate the English people? I'm like, yeah, but not for history reasons. For what they're like now. Like what they're like today. Just meeting them in the shop. You know what I mean? That's why. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah. Oh. I'm not blaming you from what your ancestors did. That's nothing to do with you. I'm just blaming you for just how you deal with like taking a bus. You know what I mean? Right. But so you would tell them, and they'd be like, "Oh no, that's terrible, isn't it, Jim? Jim, oh yeah, that's bad, Mary, isn't it?" Like they have like this like joint brain where it's just like they need like, like yeah. If you ask them, they're like, "Oh, where did you meet?" And it's like, "Oh, we met in Bristol, didn't we? Didn't we? Yeah. And like, yeah, we did." It's just like two sides of the same fucking brain.
It's like how my mum talks too. It's like she always needs, like anything she says, she needs me to confirm it. It's like, come on, mate.
Yeah, were you not there?
Yeah.
Was it not you you're talking about? You daft idiot. Do you know what I mean? Didn't we? Don't break eye contact. Look at me. I'm not asking you the question. Don't look at him, because it seems like you're making it up if you have to fucking, you know, back each other's fucking bullshit up.
How does their court system even work? Like, how do the witnesses
I don't know.
Testify?
I don't know. But do you know what? It's interesting, and this actually links in some way to Australia, because so I'm from the south of Ireland, right? So like what some might refer to as like happy Ireland. And then so we're our own country. The north of Ireland is still in the UK. So like growing up, like there'd be like kind of fun anti-English stuff, like fuck the English, but no real like deep like, you know,
murderers and
because I didn't actually live the effects of it. Whereas if you're up the north of Ireland, there was bombings, there's this and that. So there is like some deep, like fuck you. Have you ever met someone from Northern Ireland?
No, not really.
But
not really.
You might have noticed the accent. It's like that.
Okay.
It's like, how are you, Anna? You all right? Yeah. But it's very serious, and it's very mistrusting of everyone. So it's like that. And then down below, we're like, we haven't had war in 50 years. So we're happy out. But so I didn't have any like deep hatred of English people, but I was reading this book, Sapiens. I don't know if you've ever read that one.
I've heard many people reading it.
Yeah. It's a real like kind of fucking pop culture. Have you read Sapiens, dude? Oh, you've not read Sapiens? Okay, well, I don't know if we've much to discuss then. You know what I mean? I'm going to go over here with the learned. So people love, like people think they're intellectuals.
What's the rough, it's kind of, for me, it sounds like it's in the same category as like Sex at Dawn. Have you heard of that?
I mean, I've not the book, but I've, you know,
I mean
the activity I've come across.
The
online.
book actually looks at how monogamy is connected to the development of agriculture and economic systems.
Wow. Yes. So this sounds like Sapiens is all about like the building of, I guess like civilization, and it goes from the start to like, basically how there was different forms. So there was Homo sapiens, which is me and you, and but there was also Homo erectus, which was
sounds way more enjoyable.
Yeah. Just these guys who are forever on fucking rock hard. Just we're Homo erectus, dude. I'm never soft, son. You know what I mean? And they got wiped out because they're just too horny. They couldn't even feed themselves. They're just in a fucking blurry haze. I just want to fuck it. I'm fucking a tree, dude. I don't even know, man. I tried to fuck a lion. He bit my leg off, dude. You know, so they just are in this haze of fucking things. But Homo erectus basically got extinct. And they don't know exactly how, but so they were like a less developed cognitively than us. But, you know, we're the main suspects in the getting rid of. And like throughout just the history. I mean, after you read the book, you're like, oh God, we're like an aberration on Earth. Like human beings, we're an absolute we are an absolute virus on this planet, and you really like do feel like we are just these like flesh-eating, devious, greedy creatures who are just using up and destroying the planet for own use. And you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And then you go eat a burger, but
exactly.
you know, and you try to forget about it. But it does. You're like, whoa. But so human beings went to Australia the first time they actually entered that continent, right? I don't know like exactly how they got there, like from rafts and different things, but they arrived on the continent, and back then there was like these were like called giant kangaroos, like they were like twice
megafauna,
and they were massive.
Yeah, the animals back then, like if you've seen any they create like I've seen reenactments or like they've created sort of videos that show how big these animals were.
Yeah,
so cool. Megafauna.
Oh,
so cool.
Unbelievable. Yeah. These were great guys.
Yeah,
these
great.
were fucking legends, and they were having a good time.
Yeah,
and they were eating the fucking eucalyptus, and they were balling, and it seemed like life would never take a dip, and was just going to be from strength to strength for them on that continent. And then the humans arrived. And because they had never been on that continent before, so the megafauna, the super kangaroos, they didn't have any genetic code to be afraid. Because it's actually in your genes when you see something to be like, oh. So when they saw humans kind of crawling up towards them, they're just eating their fucking leaves, and they're like, oh, look at these weak little apes.
Yeah.
Just little weak, scrawny apes.
Yeah. Like,
little did they know we are literally the most conniving, devious scoundrels that have ever existed on this earth. And within 100 years, they were extinct because they didn't know to be afraid.
Yeah.
So they would turn their back on humans.
So the concept is probably you survive better if you have a lot of fear in you.
Yes, or if it's like genetic code of some sort. But so for example, I grew up on a dairy farm, and if I go to a calf, like a young cow, say the child, and they're just suspicious of you already, and they've no real reason to know why, apart from it's just somewhere in their genetic code that they're just pulling back, because we're the worst thing that's ever happened to them. We're just stealing their children, we're murdering, eating them,
or we're locking them in wooden boxes so that we can make veal.
To make veal. It's a it's a general shit show. They're since they've been in business with humans, it's not gone well,
and so they're wired to be afraid of us.
They're wired to be afraid of us, right? So they're just wired, right? Now, so I don't have a deep hatred of English, but when I hear an English accent, I'm a bit like that calf. You know what I mean? I'm just a bit so I just there's a little bit of that, just from a wiring of nearly 1,000 years of something. So I'm just have a little it's all right, darling. You're like, yeah, I'm fine. Why?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally relate to that. I think fear is definitely is something that's inherited. I definitely got I've had reactions to things in my life that do not come from my own experiences. They're not it's not a learned reaction that from experiences I've had, but it's definitely something that I've inherited from my mother and from my grandmother and from my great grandmother. And I've had reactions to situations with men where I really, really strong physical, something that I'm not in control of, reactions because of the levels of abuse that the generations of women have experienced by men. So completely
ancestral trauma.
Yeah, and it is passed on in the DNA, in the cells.
Yes,
there's cellular memory. And so it's there.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't read *Sapiens* or *Sex at Dawn*, but but I can make my way through it.
Yeah, you can bluff your way around the ideas.
And also collective unconscious, or that's also something that's very deep. We have connections to, there's that, but there's also the actual science of the cellular memory.
Yeah, I am finding I don't know about you, I have, and I'm doing kind of trying to do create a material about it at the moment. I have some bits about it, but the idea that I'm very prone to believing in things kind of magically ideas,
well, that's the Catholic in you, right?
Right. No, but it actually is, because it's like, and now because of what the priest did to the kids, I can't do that anymore. So I can't be praying to Jesus, because that's very uncool. And the
Just
Catholic,
a quick side thing. Do
Yeah.
you know many people that were sexually abused?
no, but
Okay, I do. I know a lot of people, but
not like, as in not my age group. No one has ever come forward. Now that's not to say they weren't.
no. But I just mean like people who have actually come forward. But maybe
No, but I mean huge amounts in Ireland, but just
Yeah.
not in my personal
circle.
friend group. I was from a very small community. Now I was an altar boy myself. But I did say that last night. I told you I got in trouble because
Yeah.
I was using too much teeth.
Yeah.
But they just didn't. The technique was off. But
Takes a while to learn. you
Right.
know, it's in the lips.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so I was just a propensity to believe in things, and so then you go to other things like that's not religion. So I have like a gratitude stone, which like is just a stone I talk to, and I don't know if stones can think even. Like I don't know. I don't even know if it's classed as a being. But
I could help you with this. I don't think you need to read a book.
But like, you know,
You're just like flicking through Sapiens. Like,
Right.
when does it talk about the rocks?
what
When
does it talk about the stones? But it's funny because like it's like, you know. But I think what's interesting at the minute is that because it like we'll say our generation, almost everyone, no one's religious, you know, to a degree, certainly people from Christianity.
Yeah.
Right, obviously.
We definitely, like, as comedians,
Yeah.
I think we know very few people who are religious.
Very,
but, like,
very few.
Yeah.
But even in Ireland now, my generation has just completely.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, just ditched. And that was a super Catholic.
Yeah,
like
okay,
deep, and everyone my age was like, no, it was with the scandals and then the internet, and it's just the widespread
yeah.
information and you know people looking podcasts with Richard Dawkins and whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
But then we all have to then come up with our own meaning for
Yes.
life because we're not given one.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of people are struggling, because a lot of people are not able to construct a cohesive thing. Now, that's not to say to go back to religion, but I think people are in a spot right now and suffering because they have not been able to fill that gap. And, you know, there's people like me who's just fucking muttering to stones and, you know, like, and other people have other, like, mad things they're trying to, just to, because they still have that thing inside them that needs to believe in something outside of reality, and there's
Something to give meaning.
something to give meaning. Yeah, and the idea of like, oh, you give meaning to your own life. Well, that's like great for like some people, but some people are just not, you know, designed to do that or be
Well,
able
that's
to
where
do that.
children come in, right?
Right. Yeah, just have kids.
Just have kids.
And just
And
put it
that's-
all on them.
Totally.
Put
And I
fucking-
think a lot
right.
of people who don't have a like a creative self-expression like a lifestyle, like where they're constantly expressing
Coming.
themselves. Coming. You cannot have creative self-expression and be coming all the time. I know a lot of those guys. But if you don't have something that truly gives you satisfaction and a sense of self-expression, then I think what a lot of people then do is they're like, all right, I'll have kids and create a family because family gives purpose and meaning.
Right.
Right. But I think like the pandemic's also been really interesting. I think a lot of people have either found a way to, I think the pandemic really like was like this, you know, putting everyone in this thing of like, look at your problems and
Right.
like, what are your strategies?
Yeah.
And I think there were the people that went to, you know, drugs and like just going deep into
escapism.
Then there were people who were like, I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to like, you know,
Right.
be grateful and exercise and
Yeah.
meditate and whatever. And then maybe some people also found religion. I don't know. Like I totally credit Buddhism for my survival.
Oh, I think I'm reading Siddhartha at the minute. Have you ever read
Yeah,
Siddhartha?
I've read Siddhartha.
It was my second time, so don't be smug.
I've read it.
We're just trying to out Eastern religion each other. Well, I meditate every day, so shove it up your ass. Yeah.
Well, I meditate twice.
I don't even believe there is a self, so
Exactly.
you know, suck on it. I don't even believe I exist. There is no mic, so you know. Smoke that.
Baby impermanence, right? Impermanence.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Buddhism's a good one.
Because the whole thing is like, don't have notions.
Right, that's it.
And that's it. It's like, and what is true, and like definitely impermanence. And then if you can, like I gave my mum the book that you were flicking through when you came in, which is the No Death, No Fear, which is what really got me into it. Yes. No Death, No Fear. And then also the same writer, Thich Nhat Hanh, he also has a book called The Art of Power, which sounds...
Very
like,
Robert Greene. I don't know if you know him.
Robert Greene.
He's like the 42 laws of power.
Oh, okay.
Which are like, it's like never be fully truthful. And
get fucked, yeah.
And always lurk in the shadows. Like this kind of stuff.
I like always look in the shadows, but never... always look in the shadows is great, but never be truthful.
Back with lurk in the shadows. This is a great thinker.
The darkness.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Art of Power, I think, I like the French name of the book is called The Art of True Power. And I think that's better because it sounds less like like a pickup artist book and more like a Vietnamese Buddhist manifesto to how to actually apply Buddhism in your day-to-day life and work and family and all of these things. And I'm not sure where I was going with that classic Buddhism chat. There's no purpose. But yeah, just there's the basic.
But
basic
as the
principles.
Buddhists would say, you don't have to be going anywhere.
Yeah, right.
Just be. Yeah. There is sometimes when you get that moment of clarity, it's rare, and a lot of the time it's if you've done MDMA. But if you can reach that sometimes where like you really understand deeply, I don't need anything right now. You know what I mean? I don't need anything. Just being alive is great, and you can actually just be buzzing to be alive.
Exactly.
Oh, and that's the trick.
That is it.
But the problem with that is when you feel that, you're like, yes, I can just feel this. But then when you lose it again, and then you start like, why am I not feeling it anymore? Yeah. And it's this cycle of like, why am I not enlightened right now?
Yeah, but I also think and that's when the core, the core practices of Buddhism, the impermanence, no self, and what's the other one?
Acceptance, is that in there?
Well, that's knocking around. That's the acceptance, but like the core practice, like the practices as opposed to beliefs, right? So it's like you practice you practice seeing impermanence, so how everything changes. You practice seeing into being and no self. It was into being. So those are the three core like things, right?
Right.
But then acceptance, of course, and yeah. And the reason why I stopped drinking was and taking drugs was also the idea that confidence, you can only you need self-awareness to then be confident, and you can only have happiness if you're confident in your decisions.
Right. Well, my question to you would be, what makes you more confident than cocaine?
I don't like cocaine that much. Cocaine doesn't give me confidence.
Does it not?
It just makes me think that everyone is boring.
Right. Apart from yourself.
Exactly.
Because every idea pops in your head. You're like, did James Joyce write this thought? Because it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like with Coke, I just get so bored, and I'm so bored of everybody. And it's not like I'm going to be more interesting. It's just like I don't value, and I'm not always this much of an egotistical person, but often if I'm in situations where I have done a line, I'm not always around comedians, say, or I'm not always around people that I find intellectually stimulating, and it will just be like, I'll just stop talking and be thinking, and then I'll be like, all right, I'm out. I'm going. Yeah. Yeah, there's no point communicating what I'm thinking, but also there's no interesting thoughts. It's also just no interesting thoughts. Right. Well, I've had just diminishing returns with it to the point of where I've just I've stopped doing it because I'm a talker as is, you know what I mean? I don't need encouragement. I'm already too much. It's already overbearing, and it's already to a point where people are kind of like, this isn't all about you, Mike. And I'm like, is it not? Because it seems to me, since I've been alive, that's kind of like the Truman Show, and I'm Truman. But anyway, but whatever you say, you know what I mean? You're not a paid actor in my life. Sure. But when I coke, then I was just like, bah, 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 bah. My ideas. I'm going to do this. Bah, bah. And then when I reflect, because then you remember it is the worst thing. And you're just like, oh, that's so gross. Yeah. The way I behaved there was so disgraceful. Yeah.
And then I'm too horny on it as well. I'm like, I was like,
I get pretty horny on any drug, but also the thing in Berlin is that so often you're not just on one drug. Like it'll be like, all right, there's drinking, and then the coke comes out, and then there's like ketamine, or then someone's like got a little bit of like an acid sugar cube, and then it's like you're not really sure what's interacting with what anymore, and it's all just like this jumble of you know,
right.
But yeah, I don't find any drug is that exciting to. You know, I feel more and more. I recently had a date. Last week I had a date with some guy, and he expressed way too much excitement about weed, and that was when I was like, all right, I'm not attracted to this at all.
The fact that you'd be excited about it. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
He was just way too like.
You're excited about it.
It's just such a great drug. It was just like, what are you 20? Like, yeah, and so anyway, he was talking. We were talking about like the benefits of weed, and I was like, "Look, I won't smoke it anymore because I smoked it every day for like 6 years of my life, and that I stopped that at the start of 2020. And but I do really enjoy it. But I enjoy eating it. But what I enjoy about weed is I enjoy the internal like landscapes of my mind and how I enjoy my own thoughts, and it's extremely just me being able to block out anybody else and me being able to enjoy my own thoughts going in different ways than they usually would.
Right.
That's how I enjoy weed. And he was like, well, that's pretty selfish. I was like, yeah, dude, like a drug experience is selfish because you've taken something in that only you're going to experience the way you're experiencing it.
Well, no one does coke and then goes down to the local soup kitchen.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
This is not a philanthropic endeavor.
At all.
You know?
And of course, if you're taking drugs, you're enjoying the effect that it has on you.
Yeah, it's hedonistic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pleasure. You're going for your own pleasure.
And I think most drugs are about enjoying what your thoughts are and being able to switch off from things around you that aren't enjoyable.
Right. Even caffeine.
Even caffeine. Yeah, even caffeine. Mm-hmm. Although I think caffeine can make you irritable to what other people...
It can make me a bit jittery.
Jittery, yeah. I don't think it doesn't help you switch off from other people. Yeah.
Yeah. Or what time do we have? Have we
I think we wap it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, let's wrap it up.
Yeah,
do you have anything else that you'd like to say specifically regarding any adult topics?
Just, praise be Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, and, sex is bad,
Sex
just remember
is
so bad.
It's so bad. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
When was the last time you had sex?
Me?
Yeah.
6 weeks ago, probably.
That was very quick. You knew exactly.
Yeah, because I was thinking about it today. I was thinking about it earlier today, and it's been too long.
Yeah.
It's been too long, yeah.
I think I'm getting up to a month. Yeah, I'm getting close to 4 weeks.
Yeah. I'm 6. The start of I think the 2nd of July. So yeah, that's about
2nd of July.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
But I've had a few chances. I've just been I don't know what it is. I went through a breakup not so long ago, and I've been a bit gun shy. If people don't make the move, the last few times I've had sex, it's just people making the move on me. I like that. I'm very passive.
Yeah.
I'm very bad at pulling the trigger.
Me too.
Yeah, I know, but it's accepted for you, as in these whatever, and obviously the problems with gender roles,
Do it.
But that's it's on the man. It's it's my fault if I didn't make the move. You know what I mean?
I disagree.
Or that's how I feel.
Yeah,
but maybe that's the problem. But I love if it's the other way.
But I think it goes it's always your fault if you don't make the move, right?
Yeah.
But also for a female, if I don't make the move,
and
then he can be like, well, and also I in my position, apparently I'm a bit intimidating or whatever. I need to really show to someone that I'm interested.
Yeah.
For them to be like, okay.
Right.
Let's.
Yeah.
So it's, and I almost had sex on the weekend just past, except that I was so tired that I just fell asleep.
Right. A compelling review for your lover.
Well, I
Yeah.
honestly don't really remember that much of getting back to the back room of his workplace. So classy.
You'll have to go into that in another podcast.
Yeah. But yeah, here's to getting sex soon.
Yeah.
Mike, let's
Please,
do
God.
that. Let's
Please,
fist
God.
punch. All right, that has been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Thank you so much, Mike.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Yes.
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 And see you next time. All right, goodbye.
Ta-da.